Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the finale for my Panda palette. I am very excited to share with you where I'm with my palette and just talk through how I've done this year and yeah, kind of my progress. I will show a slideshow kind of the palette as well throughout the year so you can see all my progress month by month. But I'm not going to drag this out any longer. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So I'm filming this and it's New Year's Eve today, so it is the last day of the year. So I did work on this palette all the way until the end of the year, and this is not my New Year's Eve like makeup look. I'm filming this early in the day. I'm gonna redo my makeup for the evening, but yeah, I really do like the look at it today. I'm actually wearing some shades from my next year's Panda palette, which I will post the intro for tomorrow. So yeah, it's a very summery look. I don't know why I went for this today. It's just kind of what I felt like, I guess. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop up the picture here of where I was last month with the palette. So yeah, you can see I still had 4 shades left in the palette. I kind of knew I wouldn't be able to finish all of them, but I wanted to get as much progress as I could. I did also franken the palette, so I'll pop up a quick picture of that here, what it looked like when I frankened it. I did a quick franken shade to make a transition shade as well, and I used a little bit of red ochre and a little bit of real gar mixed with a white, and that is kind of what it looked like. You can see some swatches here as well with it compared to real gar and red ochre. But again, this is what the palette looked like last month, and drumroll please, this is what it looks like today. So I do still have 3 shades left in the palette, but I was able to finish Real Gar, which was my goal. I finished this one today. I had a tiny bit left, so I used it on my outer corners. I did use a lot of other kind of more brighter shades though with it, but I did use the last tiniest bit today. Also with the franken shade, I used the last bit of that as well today. I used it basically kind of on my inner part of my lids as a kind of base shade, and then again I topped it with shimmers. But I did do really well with the palette. I did complete my goal. I was very worried I wasn't going to be able to because, you know, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I had quite a few days off without makeup this past month because I was ill. But I was happy that I was able to finish Real Gar. I was hoping to get a bit more use out of the other 3 shades, but since I lost some days and then, you know, I didn't stop wearing makeup until like about a week before Christmas, I think. So yeah, I kind of at that point decided to mainly just focus on Real Gar because I really wanted to get that shade done. So the other shades I didn't use that much, but I will go through each shade in order that is left, and I will let you know how many times I used them. So the first shade in the palette that we still have left is the shade Love Letter here. And this one I did only use once in the past month, which is not great, but I'm a bit fed up with this shadow. I needed a break from it and I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish it anyway, so I took a break from it. But I'm going to try to get into using this again now in the beginning of the year, because I'm going to continue working on this palette and I will update you on this in my kind of Panda palette for 2023 videos. So I will kind of show this at the end of those videos if you want to continue following my progress, because I do want to pan this completely. Next to that we have the shade Cypress Umber, which I used 5 times. So again, not super, you know, high numbers, but I do think there is some pan expansion if I remember from the pictures, but you can see there. This is a really deep shade. I can finally see that it's getting a bit lower in the pan. I'm hopeful now that I can finish this relatively soon. I know I will have to do a lot of smokier looks, but I am determined again to finish it. Next up we have Red Ochre, which is this shade here. Again, I did use some of this to franken into like a transition shade, so obviously quite a bit of shadow went from there, but I tried to use like even down the sides instead of kind of expanding the pan, just to kind of be able to show more progress when it comes to like actual uses, if that makes sense. So I didn't try to expand the pan by taking some shadow out. I just evened out the sides. So I used this one 4 times again, and not super high, but I did use it. I think this one is it was the most similar to Real Gar in this way that I used it, so that's again why the number is a bit lower. Then for the franken shade, I did use this one 14 times to finish it. I knew that it wouldn't be that long because I didn't franken that much and it was very shallow in the pan. It did cover the whole pan, but it was very thin, so I think I only hit pan on it after like maybe like 4 uses. If not less. So I knew that it was very shallow, and I just wanted to be able to use a bit more of the shadows and use them in different ways instead of just having one use for both Real Gar and Red Ochre. I might actually do the same again with Red Ochre for next month. I haven't decided yet, but I do think I want to franken some shades. I also want to franken Love Letter, maybe with a white again to make a more transition shade, or I'm thinking maybe a silver to create like a lighter version, like a shimmery kind of lighter version, and use that as a shimmery blush, or like a shade on my lid. I haven't decided yet, but I think I might franken a bit of this palette, but we'll see. I'm gonna do that sometime in January, possibly. I'm not gonna bother with it yet. Then, lastly for the palette, again, we had Realgar, and I'm so happy that this one is gone. It took me 18 uses to finish this one, so it did still take quite a few times. So that's what I mean, because again, I lost about 10 makeup days, I think, maybe 8. But, you know, like, I did use this one almost every single day apart from that, because I did still get 18 uses. And you know, I'm happy that this one is gone. It was my ultimate goal, and because of that I feel very satisfied with where I ended up with this palette, because again, I knew that I wouldn't be able to finish all 4 of these shades in 1 month. So just finishing that last one just makes me feel really satisfied. But that again is the palette and the uses. I will go through every single shade that I've finished so far and tell you how many times it took me to finish them. So again, starting with the first shade in the palette, we had Tempera. This one took me 69 uses to finish, and then next up we have Golden Ochre, which took me 74 times to finish. Vermeer was like a light kind of champagne shade, and that one took me 66 times to use completely up. Then we have Bon Fresco, which took me the longest, I do believe, at least out of the ones I finished so far, and that one took me 123 uses. Moving on to the last shade that I finished on the top row, we have Antique Bronze, which took me 63 uses to finish. Moving on to the second row, we have Raw Sienna, and this one took me 76 times to use completely up. Burnt Orange took me 106 uses to finish. Next to that we have Primavera, which was like more kind of a goldeny lid shade, or like shimmer shade. Not very impactful though, but this one took me 37 times to finish. Then we have Venetian Red, which was like ready tone, and this one took me the quickest out of all the mattes to finish. It took me 53 uses. Then we had Warm Taupe. Actually, this one took me the longest. I used this in my eyebrows, and this one took me 272 uses to finish completely, which is a really high amount, but again, I used a very small amount because I mainly used it in my eyebrows. And then for the shadow we finished today, we have Realgar, which took me 74 times to finish. So again, that is where I am with my palette. I'm gonna pop up some pictures here, or some slideshows of where I've been with the palette each month by month while I continue talking. But yeah, I'm really happy with where I am with this palette. I was obviously hoping to finish this completely in a year, but I'm still happy with where I am. With this one, it's a lot of matte shades, so it obviously takes a bit longer to finish them, because you can't like use both, you know, if you have shimmer shades, I feel like first of all they're easier to finish, they're quicker to finish, at least for me. And secondly, we have like, you have different uses. You can use some of the shadows obviously as shimmers, and then the rest as mattes, and you can use more shadows in each look, if that makes sense. So I'm not surprised that I wasn't able to finish the whole thing. I am gonna put in a mini goal to try to finish this palette in the first quarter of next year, so that is until end of March. Not sure I can do it. I'm also again gonna pan out a different palette, which I'm gonna have to put focus into, but I'm really gonna try to finish this one because I want this out as soon as possible. But that is basically it for my Pan palette finale for 2022. I am really happy with the palette I chose. I haven't really been fed up with this palette at all in the year. I am at this point a little bit fed up with it. I wish I could take a break from it, but I do really want to use Soldier on and finish this one, because I know if I put it away I won't finish it for quite a while, because then I would probably put it to the side and forget about it, and maybe like halfway through the year be like, oh shit, I need to finish this palette. But I do want to do it as soon as possible. I don't want it to like take up much space in my collection with just 3 shades left. So that is it for today, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Again, my introduction for my Panda palette will be up tomorrow for 2023. You might already know what palette I'm panning, but if you don't, make sure to check out that video tomorrow. I'm really excited with the palette I'm going to pan for next year. I think it's going to be quite different from this one. It is still going to be a bit more of a challenge, I think. The eyeshadows have quite a lot more product than these do per pan, and there's also more shades, so it's definitely going to be a challenge, but I'm excited for that project next year. And if you watch this on the day it goes up, which is today, Happy New Year, and I really hope you have a nice evening to celebrate tonight, and I will catch you in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys.